Hi, everyone. This is so exciting.
Wow.
Thanks for joining me. I am in Providence, Rhode Island, and it would be great if everyone's comfortable at some point to turn on your cameras if you want. I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then I would really like to hear from y'all and see where you're at and your development and how I can be helpful to you during our time together. Um, so maybe I'll just start with a little bit of background on me. My name is Carissa Abitabilo. I am currently a senior academic technologist at Rhode Island School of Design. And I'm also an internship coordinator for film, animation, video. Um, I've been working at RISD for 14 years now, and I'm also an alumni from the same program that I work in. Um, Also, I produce for animation and some live action, mostly doc shorts that are on PBS. And I worked about a year ago for quite some time with Mighty Oak Animation in New York as a talent development specialist. And so I was looking for, specific artists for specific roles that they had upcoming and, looking for the right kind of fit for style and project-based uh, goals of theirs. So, yeah, I have a lot of experience looking at portfolios, many years now. I was very excited to start working with BRIC, who I met Allison Mann at Ottawa this year and was super impressed by just what she had to say and what she had to offer, her take on the industry and her humanity in communicating those ideas and had to make my way to introduce myself to Allison after her talk. And we had a really nice time discussing common goals and missions for the future of animation. So that brought me here. Um, so, hi, Chris. Yeah, populate the chat. I can't guarantee that I will be like looking at the chat the whole time, but I will definitely get back to it. So gathering your portfolio, oh man, it can be really difficult. Um, it is never going to feel easy. Um, and it will be something that you get better at. Hopefully you learn to love it. But being easy, probably not. And there's a reason for that, right? It's like it's difficult to take something that you're learning and apply it to a host of bullet points in an internship description or when you're looking for a job description. So how do you do it? How do you put your best foot forward and feel that you are presenting yourself in the best light? Um, when I work with RISD students, I have developed a model over the years that seems to work well for them and seems to work in parallel to uh, their education. What's most important is for them to be there and learning from the professors and their peers. So front loading a lot of expectation on future goals is not something that we do. But what I like to do with them is I call it a semester based approach. And I meet with them at the end of each semester, sometimes in small groups, sometimes individually, whatever they wish. And I ask them as a group to uh, gather their work from the semester. And some of them have worked in many different ways and many styles, many different materials. And I asked them to start a timeline of their favorite 3 to 5 works for the semester. in its full form at first. And it's important to do that just as a building block of how to organize large, sections of work, and then call and prepare a finite reel from there. So after we have a collection of, maybe 5 pieces, we look at them individually. We look at the reel in a timeline view, and I ask them to talk to me about it. Like, what is important about the work to them? And I ask them to play it through and stop at points that feel natural for them. And the reason why I do that is for it to be more organic for them, to show exactly what they feel is most important. If I were to ask them, put your best thing there, that to me makes it very front heavy for them. And I find that they will try to put what I want to see there. And so that's not the goal, like usually what they want to show me is, the most salient points of their work. So I want to see that. So as we're viewing it in a timeline view, they stop and they say, like, this moment I'm really proud of. And I'm like, let's put a marker on that. That's important. Like, let's put a marker on it. And I ask them to do that for each moment. It's rare that I usually have to encourage people to put more than one marker in a work, because it feels awkward saying, yeah, like I feel really, really strongly. I'm super proud of this. But it happens, and we usually end up with, on average, maybe 5 markers, maybe 8. And we move through the timeline in that way. I would suggest that you do the same. If you don't already do that, please do that. It's really helpful. From there, we look at, we make edits very quickly around the markers, and that ends up being a really pretty strong moment-to-moment representation of their work. And it's revealing too. Often what's revealed through that is their similarities of what they are drawn to within the process of each animation, even similarities that they didn't plan on, right? So maybe they are super interested in lip sync, but they didn't know that they were interested in lip sync. So they're marking lip sync pieces because they like the work. And so we have conversations about that. What did you like about that work? Why was the marker, like, why are there 6 markers in your pieces and they're all around lip sync? And they're like, oh yeah, like I really like it's fun. Or I really like turnaround poses or walking poses. If anyone likes walking, good for you, but most people don't. Sounds. Some people really, really love developing sound for animation. That all is a process of reveal for them. But it most often is never known, if that sort of makes sense. So working together with them is, in this way, as usually as sophomores, we start this process, is really a natural kind of organic way of working. And it often leads to them having more confidence in what they want to focus on in an internship. So during this process, we don't focus on it being a reel for an internship, because I'm sure as many of you have started to look around, internship requirements are different. And so it can be overwhelming. Like, maybe you don't have the work that they're looking for yet. So when I work with our students, we start working with the pieces that they do have and the articulation of those pieces and the presentation and curation of them. So from those 5 works, and in the timeline we try to get it down to around 3 minutes. And from there, we make really hard decisions based on what, like, the final phase of analyzing the work is, what what should stay and what serves you, and what is maybe a repeated clip. Maybe you only need one or two clips of lip sync. Maybe you need only one or two character fully character animated spots. Do you have repeats? Too many repeats of one project? Usually that's not what we want. So we sort of keep curating the work. And from there, we kind of just put it to rest for the semester. So that's our fall and spring approach, just to the work itself, not to the work taking it to a specific place for internship, but just as a practice of them reviewing and sitting with their own work and thinking about it outside of the classroom, right? The classroom has its own demands and its own experience, and it should stay there. We never want students to make work for the industry. We want them to make the work for themselves and for the work itself. Usually at RISD, sometimes students get internships as sophomores. It's not recommended for some reason, but I always say if they can do it, they should. Because what I know on the other side of that, from an employer point of view, often that's a sophomore going into their junior year. It's a really pivotal point. So throughout their education, throughout their year as a sophomore, they will have some pretty wonderful skills brewing, but maybe they want to explore further a certain topic and carry that practice into their junior year. At RISD, students are in their departments from sophomore, junior to senior. As a freshman, you are in a set of core developmental broad-based art classes called foundation studies. So it's a little maybe different than other schools in that way. So yeah, who has questions at this point? Is that making sense? There's so many different places: Los Angeles, Wisconsin, awesome, Minnesota, Iran, oh my goodness, amazing, New Jersey, hello. Yeah, so okay, so if you don't like your work, don't put it in there. It's okay. Like, it's fine not to like your work or a project. Yeah, I often meet with students and they feel like they should put something in a reel. They're like, I didn't really like this, but I think I should put it in. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And they're like, well, like, is it like, maybe they want to see that. And I'm like, yeah, but at this stage, you're not showing it to anybody else. Like, if this is the type of work that you didn't like, then don't put it in. This is for you, not for anyone else, right? So again, like, it's like about like curating the work that you want to do, because at the end of the day, when you go and you get your job in the industry, you're going to be getting a job working for someone else. So you want to make sure that work comes from a place of like that you feel good about the work that you are actually making. I have a question here. What about when you have a piece that you feel is your weakest? Oh, okay. See, this is so great, Pete. Hey. Well, yeah, I say don't put it in there. I really don't. But the question becomes, why is it your weakest piece? Is there a specific moment? And if there is a specific moment, or if it's like a specific type that someone is really drawn to, like, is it a character-driven animation sequence, but you don't want to be a character animator? Or did you like really spend a lot of time in Nuke or something like that, but like, oh my goodness, like, I don't want to be, doing effects generation, probably. Like, these are these are revelations that start happening as you start working on, as you start taking different roles in your own work. So I think you have to, that's a question. I would say be careful about that, be careful about putting things that you don't like in your reel. Um, uh, oh, this is so good. Thank you for asking these questions. So yes, let's take a little pause here and I'm going to answer some. Stella, hi. Stella says, essentially starting my portfolio from scratch because I don't have strong enough work. Okay. Do you have any advice on finding your own voice while also producing work that is ideal for a portfolio? I am in biz dev, by the way, and thanks so much. Yes, but my answer is always going to be, if you are interested in biz dev, continue to look at people's reels and masters of visual development in the fields, but don't copy their style, but be informed about the process, and your skills will grow as time goes along. You you can, your first pass at a brand new like type of work, like if it's your first visual development kind of project, might not make your submission reel to an internship or a job site. But you know what? It will probably make your personal reel for the semester. And that's just as important because that has already answered for you, I'm really into viz dev. Like, I didn't know that I wanted to do that, but man, I'm like super excited by that. So that's great. And keep that, so that becomes like something that you want to begin curating your time on. And start, focusing your time outside of school and maybe maybe a passion project in visual development to further your skill. How do you stop yourself from going back and fixing old work? Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Amani, for that question. That is a very good question. My question for you and for anyone in that is, maybe you should, maybe you should not. Um, why are you feeling like you have to? Is it a specific process or piece of the work that you're revisiting? Is it a character that is a reoccurring character that you are in development with? Sometimes when you're looking for answers from a certain piece of the work, it feels more comfortable to explore a piece of the work that's in further development, so you don't answer all of the upfront questions like the design, the character build, the color of the character, the what the character is wearing, maybe how it moves. Maybe reframe that idea. I wouldn't. Sometimes they can offer you more, your previous works, and use it to your advantage. Like, instead of fixing it and expecting it to be completely different, maybe use your previous works as a way to serve you in the moment that you're approaching it with a new set of skills. Like, I don't have, you can think like, I don't have time to do a full character build, but I want to practice. I know I rigged this character up really well, and I want to just practice some quick motions with a body. Great, use it for that. I think it's the more that you move through top to bottom projects, you will kind of put an end to that exploration and move past them. But it that can be difficult. Yeah. Let's see. For storyboard portfolios, yes. Do you recommend putting the entire animatic in the portfolio? Oh, yeah. This is a very good question as well. It depends on, I've seen it most commonly done in portfolio and an animatic is in a different reel, especially for different studios. Unless it's clarified, I would keep your storyboard examples within a storyboard portfolio, and your animatic, and then the completed clip of the animation in an animatic to completion reel. That's what I would suggest. Charlotte, I made a short film, but I don't like some of it. Should I still put the whole short film in my portfolio? Cut it up, Charlotte. This is exactly what we're talking about. Like, start by putting the whole thing in the timeline, and then do exactly what I said. Scroll, like play through, and everyone knows what it feels like to play a piece and you're like, oh no, this part's coming up, or I'm so happy about this part. You want to stay with what brings you the most satisfaction, because you just have to know within yourself that is what you want to put forward. So yes, you would cut it up for sure. How do you balance creating work for your portfolio and learning and honing your craft? And sending, and then also doing the networking and sending out part without feeling like you're running out of time. Yep, I will say that these are all very normal. The feeling of being in flux, right? That is a very normal feeling. And it is something that you will, I think, learn how to like sit with and develop that sense of like going back and forth. Sorry if you can hear my dogs growling, I apologize. But you will learn to kind of put a time cap on it that feels right for how you personally respond to time frames. With some students, I ask them to, at the end of the semester approach is not where they want to be because they're more action oriented through the process and tandem of making, I ask them to set aside 10 minutes per week and make it I asked them to send a calendar to me with the 10-minute appointment scheduled on there. And then I have them commit to that. And 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of a semester, it's all the time you need to be thinking about this stuff. But if you set aside 10 minutes a week, you can answer a question. And I say to them, don't think about the whole thing in 10 minutes, think about one step. So look at the work that you did from the past, week, and select one section of work that might be interesting to you to add to a reel. Or set aside 2 weeks of the month and do networking. It depends. Sometimes we get very articulated with scheduling as well. Depends on the approach of the student. Sometimes students are really, they need to see a schedule up front, and some people don't like that, and that's okay. It's all about like activating what is going to serve how you want to get your work out there. And people have a lot of different solutions for that. But what you should know is like not everything works for every person. But finding that approach, answering the questions like what's the best time of day that I like to look at my work? Is it early in the morning? Is it late at night? Am I super creative and am I in a really peaceful space to look at my own work critically, but not in a damaging way at midnight, 3 a.m., whatever time that is, make it an appointment for yourself and stick to it. And balance that with the kind of fear and expectation of networking. That's another like set of hurdles to get used to. And And, build that around a framework of while you're curating your portfolio, look for a few events that you're interested in hearing about. Like, are you really interested in a certain artist's work? Are you interested in story? There's, so many great organizations that have resources that are open now. 15 years ago, that was not the case. I mean, really, like, it's really exciting in that way now that there's like these like couple generations of artists are opening like their channels of communication and with younger generations to hopefully help kind of demystify the process a little bit. And don't worry about Ashley Z. Don't worry about losing opportunities. It's okay. Like, you're not going to lose opportunities. Um, I think like it's normal to feel that pressure, but you know what? If you see an internship that has closed, that can feel really kind of crazy, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I should have done this. I should have been ready. But it's okay that you were not. You just weren't. And you're gonna go ahead and you're going to just address that, and you're going to look at the next set of internships. You're going to bookmark that company, and keep a running list of when they came out with their internships, because usually it's a regular thing. If you miss their internship announcement and they're a larger company, you can pretty much it's this isn't always true, but I would say it's often true that for like they will release their internship cycle at the same time the following year. Um, Smaller companies have different needs, but the larger companies have a more curated approach. So, and they would need time to review a large group of applicants. So, what that means within the company is they have teams of people that receive the work and look at it, and they will look at the work ahead that they're bringing interns on for, and that group of people will start going through the submissions. So that takes a long time to do. So you can be guaranteed you can feel some amount of confidence. I'm like, you can be guaranteed, you can feel. I'm kind of wishy-washy on that. The reason is because of the strikes that we just came out of. Things like, things are a little bit less predictable. Haven't, but you should bookmark the time that it was released and start a document um, on your computer, just a note, something easy that you can like refer to. Organize it by maybe location, location that you can live in easily, if it's West Coast or East Coast, and then break it down from there based on the specialty. So we at RISD, we do that in terms of, is it motion graphics? Is it post-production, production, animation, character-based, storyboard, advertising, stop motion, and then location. Let's see, are there any more messages? Do we have to specialize our portfolio to one job, or could we have subsets? Like, I want to do character design, but I also want to do storyboarding. This is a really great question as well, Madison. The approach that I was sort of outlining when we started chatting is a general approach for you. And I always recommend that you do that process for yourself as off of a body of work that you've created for the semester. But yes, from there, you will certainly have to start making subsets. And they can be, within the same project, like you can start multiple sequences, right? Like, I don't know what y'all use for editing. I like Premiere because it's easy and I know it. Make it easy. and just make yourself a bunch of sequences and save it in the same program and start putting like your storyboard, your character work within that sequence, and your storyboard work within that sequence. Don't, be careful though, like don't get obsessed about editing it down and making it perfect, because you'll spend quite a lot of time doing that. You want to look at the windows of time that you have to apply. So I would say, save some energy for that push of finalizing. Where should I keep going for portfolio reviews and advice? I keep asking professors and they either ignore me. Oh no. Well, I'm sorry, Hadley. Hey, that doesn't sound cool. Places like this is a really good, a really, really good resource. I think one of BRIC's missions is to bring folks together that sort of have specialties in different areas and make it available and for you. I would say also getting connected to it. I have a question for you, and you don't have to answer it specifically, but it's more of a question for everyone. Like if there's a career center at your college, make appointments with them. Maybe they don't have sort of the breadth of practice for animation, but if there's a career center within your college, they will have some pretty good resources that maybe you didn't expect. Also, alumni are great. Our alumni network at our school is one of the best ways for our students to just get a very open like review. And our alumni are great for that. And I would say, I mean, students usually know who the alumni are that graduated that are doing the work that they hope to do. And I would say, don't feel shy about reaching out to them and connecting with them in some way and saying, would you mind taking a quick peek at my portfolio, and just have it ready for them and see what they say. And then also organizations that are offering support to folks like, there's all sorts of them now that offer really generous portfolio review days or weeks or summits. But I'm sorry that that's your experience. That can't feel good for you. Ebony, what if you're not sure of where you want to go in the industry? Yep. And you don't have a lot of animation to show. That's okay, Ebony. I kind of look back on my website portfolio and realize it's mostly just a bunch of comics I made. So I don't know if that really counts. Your comic work definitely counts. It may not count in the animation space, but you should leave it up. Maybe curate your website to add a different page, a leading page for your animation. And it's okay if your animation is in development. Like students often, you don't have to have, 10 films start to finish under your belt to get an internship. You can have, 20 seconds of animation and represent it well and show key moments and be sort of clear about what you want to grow into. And that's okay. You're learning. You can say very, very like specifically, like I'm, a junior in my college and I really want to know more about character design. And I have this one project, I'm in development with another one. Here's some character drawings from that project. And that in partner to your sort of your comic work would be enough for someone to get a sense of your style and how you are communicating visually. That's my advice there. And also, everyone feel free to reach out to me post this meeting. I really certainly don't mind if you want to find me or follow me or ask me questions. I'm always open to help people curate their work. I really love it. So for VizDev portfolio, what is a good ratio of projects versus standalone pieces? Well, it's going to come down to, and this is Prim, you want to make sure that you are hitting a reasonable, real representation. So again, for most reels, it's 1 to 2 minutes is really the total length of what anyone wants to look at as a collection of work. However, with your site, you can curate that page and have, one project, standalone project, or have a few projects kind of showcased on the page. I think it's a misconception again, like you don't have to have, like a whole 10 years of experience represented on your page. Elizabeth from Houston, how do you feel about portfolios with passwords on them? Elizabeth, that's a great question too. Usually I have looked at portfolios with passwords in my professional work for companies outside of education, and that's fine. I usually only run into that though if it's work that is they have an NDA with, and that language will be very clear for you when you start working for a company, and the work that is going to be released maybe 6 months, a year past your contract. You'll have to sign an NDA where you can't, post that anywhere until it's released. But you can, your producer will provide you with information about how you can point to getting your next job, your next contract. And it's often password protected. Some places will ask you to not put it on your reel at all, but they will allow you to have a separate link. Sometimes they control that. No password. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if recruiters prefer to have no passwords. I don't know why they would. Maybe it's something, it could be something that is maybe difficult to keep track of logistically. I would say if it's in an educational, while you're still in school, that's a question, maybe ask in advance if it's okay, if you feel like you need to password protect it. But yeah. Which should I focus, Brianna, what should I focus on when you're pursuing a career in character design / illustration? Yes. Um, Well, this is a great specific question as well. If you don't like your portfolio, start with a portfolio model that is exciting for you. Like what are you looking at that gives you a lot of satisfaction in that field of character design? How are people representing work? Is it like the layout? Sometimes people have a hard time editing. That's often like the graphic design piece of it is sometimes really challenging. I would say work with someone, and I'm betting that could be an issue. It's often an issue for our animation students who are more character based and not motion based. They struggle with like the layouts of their sites, and so I would say work with someone within your class that you really like their design sensibility and motion, and ask them to kind of give you some help curating your site and some like layout tips. Usually it's something in that realm. I'm going to take a pause from these questions. I love all these questions, and just go over a couple of other things. I have two more kind of blocks of questions that thoughts that I want to share with you. So the next one is some sort of practical tips about structuring your reel that I think you should, in the same vein as the approach of looking at your work in a semester view and making a semester representation of your work. I also think you should get used to, and this goes to what I was just talking about with Brianna, is start, you want to lead your reel with a title card that has your name and your maybe where you're going to school currently and your contact information. That should be designed well, and it should represent you. And you also want to end with that. The same card. It can be slightly different in design, but it should be bookended. So that's something that you can and should take a little bit of time with design wise. I would recommend that you sort of take some time and some passes with that, and then show that to a group of people who you trust, maybe that don't have the same style as you, but that you really admire for their clarity in their communication. And if they're a graphic designer, yeah, if you have graphic designer friends, that's usually very helpful as well. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, group projects. And I think we may have talked about this already, but I'm going to go ahead and outline it again. At RISD, we have many group projects, and that is fine to put in your reel. However, what you do want to make clear is your role within the project, and you want to be specific about your role in a lower thirds kind of placement as the clip is playing. So if you did like biz dev on it, you want to, that's the place where you can do a combo screen, and you can do like your visual development, maybe pre-production, and then the completed look, or you can show the whole clip. If it's animation and you did like, we do like a lot of like exquisite corpse type of animation projects, especially in the beginning of people's time at RISD. You're more than welcome to use those group clips, but you want to be sure that you're calling out your specific part. Oh, and my last tip is, if the work has lip sync, do not cover that up with music. Don't do it. I see that often as well. And if you, it can be kind of, it can throw you off if you're looking at a portfolio and you know that a character is giving like a really important line of narration and you want to hear it because that's a directing moment that you want to see followed through, but it's covered up with like a music track or something. You want to take the time to edit that track around. If you're putting music in your reel, which, take it or leave it for me, I usually turn the music off, unless I see some character-driven speech. I don't listen to music because music hides a lot of motion flaws. As we all know, I mean, music's great, but for animation, it's you want to see, like, I always watch a reel without music playing. But lip sync, you want to make sure you're not covering it up. If you have a specific part of your animation that you played music for, we have, there's often people that, play the music, compose music, play instruments for, make sure that that's known in and the lower thirds on the clip, like that you know, also compose the music for the piece. That's really important because, you know, that's a whole other set of skills, and that's like a beautiful, beautiful thing to call out. Okay, so that was just some very quick tips, and I'm going to answer some more questions. Does anyone want to ask me a question with their mic on? You can. It's okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we contact you? What's your email? So in case we have questions afterward.
Yeah, sure. I will put it in the chat. How's that?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to let you know that
Okay.
I've been in animation college since I graduated from 2022, and I'm 26 years old, and I'm a little worried that I passed the opportunity to apply for any animation jobs at an entry level. I mean, I just wanted to know, like, what is your advice? Like, what should I do? Do I continue to try and stand out in the most extraordinary way?
So your concern is, you know what, Kristen, do not worry about where you're coming at the point that you're entering the industry. Often the point that you're entering the industry is like your own. You know, you are 26 is not that does not have any framework of like preventing you from getting a job. It's often will it's a good thing to have life experience and to have some things that you have figured out for yourself, that now you've arrived at the choice of being an animator, and maybe you've done things in your work life previous, but this is now like the position that you are in, that you are really excited to be in, and this is your life's work. I similarly entered the industry a little bit later. I went to school when I was 27. I went to RISD at 27, and I got so much from that experience because I knew why I was there. Like, I had been working in the industry in different ways, but I didn't know how to be in charge of like the beginning of conversations, and I didn't know how to like be the creative that I wanted to be. I knew what I was getting like this really difficult work, and I was doing it, and I did it with a lot of love, but I didn't know how to be the person that got to develop the work. And uh that was my big question. And so I continued to ask that of myself and of my education as I was going through it, and I found it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that you don't have a place, because you do. And don't think that you're going to be passed over because of an age kind of related thing. Don't worry about that.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I'm trying to like hone in on the whole 2D animation thing, and right now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say too much, but I'm like working on
Mm-hmm.
a dungeon meshy animation right now. Like it go
Mm-hmm.
like I want to go crazy with the action and the camera movement, and I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited on how it's gonna
Yeah.
look. So I'm also going to like work on my coloring and my compositing work. So I just want to make sure that anything that I do forward will be worth it to help me find my place in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that that's a really good, what I know of the field, and from we also track, obviously, our grads that in the industry at RISD, and that is definitely a good field to think about. And it's going to increase, I think, in terms of combining like reality versus virtual reality systems, being like a effects supervisor on live action sets. They need animators for that, right? So that's I think that's a great position to be in. Let's see. So let me get back to some more questions, and please use your mic, jump right in. Otherwise I'm gonna scroll up to where I left and then get through some. I'm so happy y'all have a lot. I was like, my big fear was that I was gonna be on this call and just like reading my slides to no questions. And I was like, oh God, what am I gonna say for an hour? I mean, I knew what I was gonna say, but I was like, that would be so sad to just sit here and be like, hi. So please keep it coming.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Me?
Oh,
Okay.
no, I'm just saying, I'm just saying thank you.
Okay. Hi, I had a question. So, it's about visual development. I wasn't able to hear the rest of the presentation because internet here where I live is really bad.
Okay, yeah.
But I had just applied for a visual development internship at a studio. But one of my issues, and it's been killing me, oh my God, for weeks, is even though it's for visual development, I feel more comfortable in character design. And I don't have too many visual development like props, environments, like not too much of that in my portfolio. I have some, but it's not as heavy. Do you think that is going to, cause a problem in the decision making, or that's what I gotta know?
You know what? Probably not. I mean, I think the real question for you will be if you get a callback for an interview, and if you ultimately want to do that work. If you want to do that work, and you're curious about it enough to go down that road and take the internship, you gotta be all in with it and be excited to get it,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Like, you never know. Like, maybe visual development for the studio level is going to be amazing. You never know what's going to happen as you get into it. Sometimes what I've found is what you love that's in your heart is different than what you like to do in the work environment. And that is an okay thing to kind of wrestle with too. Sometimes your artwork is in the same vein, but your work practice is like a different aspect.
Yeah. And I hope I can ask another one because I just started college this year. I'm in my second semester. So I am fresh in. And I'm really worried about like not having too many experiences under my belt as compared to the other, applicants. So is there a way maybe that any tips so I can up that and become more valuable for the recruiters?
Yes. In terms of you want to maybe just keep pushing like your experience in a creative way. Do take on a couple of things that if you don't end up getting an internship, I wouldn't suggest you do this while you're in school because you're probably very, very busy. But if you don't get an internship in one sort of summer block, look for a mentor in the field or a previous alumni from your program, and ask if you can work on a like just a passion project to get more experience and have them review it for you. usually that happens a lot at RISD. A lot of our students, the alumni are awesome, and a lot of them just will like have a lot of dialogue with current students in that way, to keep them like engaged in a practice that they need like a little bit of, it's about how much structure you want.
Okay.
I find some students like really, really like that like check-in moment with a mentor, to be like, oh, you know, I need that time. I need that time to sit with my mentor and get some feedback to take it to the next step.
And you didn't talk about, I wouldn't know, sorry, but if have you talked about the mentors? Did you talk about that during the presentation?
What is it?
Like, did you talk about like, you know, finding a mentor?
Oh, finding a mentor. No,
Yeah.
I didn't. But this is a great moment. I think finding a mentor, you want to stay, my suggestion is you would want to stay within your alumni network probably, because they will know your specific program better than anybody. And they can partner with the style that of the material that that you're currently practicing, you know. At RISD, it's a very like it's, you know, they're doing a lot of different like material based work. So they often seek mentors that are previous alumni for that reason, so that the alumni kind of know like what they're going through, because it's wild.
Yes.
Does that make
But
sense? Then
yes, it does.
separately there are some like women in animation, or you know, BRIC, different organizations that offer mentorship programs or mentorship circles. And those are ongoing. I've noticed that those are an ongoing kind of roundtable, like it seems quarterly for a lot of the more established organizations. So I would apply for a couple of those as well.
I like that. Yes, because I go to a community college and it's really
Good for
small.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started in community college myself, and I will tell you what, it super helped me. It really helped me. You know, community college is an awesome experience, and from there I built my portfolio to submit to RISD.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Carissa, I had a
Uh,
quick question.
yeah.
What advice do you have for maybe not so much for, maybe it might work for students and individuals that are removed from school from a couple of years. But what
Yep.
advice do you have for artists working on their portfolio that maybe they maybe are already in the industry, or they're still getting there, but maybe they work a job that's adjacent to it? How do you get past the fatigue of consistently working on your portfolio and trying to make it something that will hopefully get you there? Because for me, I'm about 10 years removed from going to school at SCAD and getting my degree in
Nice.
and I didn't really get into the current role that I have now until about 2015. And since that time, I've been in my current engineering job for about 9.5 some odd years. But I spent a vast majority of 2022 going into 2023 just redoing my entire portfolio from top to bottom, because my student portfolio just wasn't cutting it. I knew it. And I had learned so many new skills since then. And while I'm very, very happy with my current portfolio and my demo reel, at this point now, I'm kind of exhausted trying to figure out new pieces to do or even add to my stuff, because I did so much work from the top of the year to the bottom half of the year. But I still I still feel like I need to be engaged, and I still feel like I need to retool my portfolio in the hopes of hopping into, you know, a job. What advice would you have for that?
Oh, you know what? That's a great question too. And this is so helpful for everyone on this call. And no matter where you are at, like this is proof positive. Like this is thing that people like keep coming back at throughout their career. It's the short answer for you, I think, is doing a yearly representation of work. And if that feels too overwhelming, do half a year. Do like I sometimes see like 2024 summer, if you have like a bunch of projects lined up. I have seen and reviewed portfolios that are like, half of the year. But more often it's a yearly thing. That would be staying engaged is another ball of wax. It becomes more where you're at is a very specific point that you would ask greater questions of yourself, like what do you want to change? What is going on with the work that you're doing that you want to evolve out of that? And what work do you have that has given you like an insight to lead to the work that you want to do? And that's you should put examples of work that could lead you to the point to another job, another position. It's tricky. I would say without seeing your work, it's probably it sounds like you have a lot of work to show. And that becomes, when you look at higher level positions, that becomes, a very sort of one page, like a resume call out of the projects. And then you like just have even a very small reel. But it's all things that you're really, really excited about. It's not a longer reel in terms of time. Often it's shorter. It's like the amount of experience you have at 10 years being in the industry in different ways is large. So it would be a much more curated approach, I would think.
Okay.
But you can
for that,
definitely, you can definitely reach out to me if you have other questions about that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to.
Hi. I got a question.
Mhm.
So I'm Madison, and I'm currently working on my
Madison.
own portfolio that I'm signed up for. Hi. And I was just wondering, when it comes to stuff, like, it's okay, we could have like one particular one big thing, but also have some subsections. Like, I'm interested in doing some storyboard. I'm planning to do like both, kind of visual development / character design, but I also want a subsection for like storyboarding,
Mhm.
and animatics, and maybe a little bit of creative writing.
Right. I would say you will want to, you'll want to take a look at that and just curate it. If you're doing, I think it becomes harder for technical things like boarding that lead naturally into that partner kind of in tandem. And you want to showcase both pieces, right? So I would say, pick a couple of projects that you've done both roles with and really showcase those in the portfolio while you're listing moments of your other works as well. And then for the creative writing side, that's something that you can choose to reference just in your resume instead of posting your creative writing works online. But you know what, guys? I'm so sorry I have to wrap this up. I'm so thankful for your time. Please reach out to me again with other questions. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to get to everyone, but I'm being asked to like that there's so many things going on at BRIC today. Thank you. And I'm happy to follow up with you
I
after
hope
the
you have a
call.
good day. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.